Good morning once more and welcome to another session, the final stages of the lecture on our business planning. And every business, after all the plans written down, we need to know what are the risks of that business. There is no business in this world that does not go with risk. So we have to know the risk. Talking here of the assessment of the risk of the business. You should indicate what the potential risks are, what the potential risk that haunt or enhance the business. Okay, what are the risks that are threats to the business? Okay. And here, identifying this risk to the new venture that you're probably going to set up. We can have examples depending on the product you're dealing in. Unfavorable weather may be one, or unfavorable trend in the industry. If you're talking of the media industry, there are trends. There are times the media is in the good books of the public. At times the media also falls the other way. In that case, you should know that it's going to affect you. Okay, so the risk factors, you should know the trend. Okay. Let's look at some examples. If you are dealing in physical products here, most often they are stored in the warehouse because you buy or you produce and store them, then you now sell them. It's not all that are sold the same day, so it means you have to find a way to store them. Storage, and in this storage, a whole lot of things go on. It can get burnt, fire. Okay, the rains can flood the warehouse, and once there is flooding, everything gets soaked. And if the product is the type that's like sugar, melts away. So all these are risks. Fire can burn everything down to ashes. Not only that, talk about theft, burglary. So all these are risks if you are dealing with the tangibles. Okay. Equally, when you are dealing with the intangibles, there are risks. Depending on the type of intangible, there are risks that abounds. As I said, no business is without risk. If you're running the dispensary technician laboratory, right, the risk of having contamination of blood, that samples that you've taken. So all these are risk. And then risk of being sued. Okay. Risk of equally having people probably who suffer injury. So all these are risk. So you have to identify the risk in your area of operation. And when you identify them, then you can now put in place corrective measures. Okay. Talking of risk management measures. So you have to discuss and write all these. See, put in place what might happen. And if this happens, if it becomes a reality, then you decide on how to respond to such risk. So then you write and you put these down, and that makes sure that when it happens, you have the antidote, or you have what it takes to tone it down. So audience, students, we've come to the end of the business planning. What we need to know essentially has been said. And if you write in the business plan, we have most of these information going to the appendix, especially if you are giving detailed statements. It's not all the statements that some of them will go into appendix. So some information, yes, but needed, but they will be at the appendix. Okay, yes. So know that we have appendix in business planning too. Okay, and the appendix takes in details that we cannot put or over elaborative details that we cannot put in the plan. Then they will be in the appendix, and the reference will be there. Then we refer appendix 1, appendix 2, depending on where you put it, okay, and where it's needed. Not only that, the executive summary, the introduction takes care of that, but the executive summary will have now given us, most often is the last thing that is written, but the executive summary, just like any summary, will give us a gist of what business we're going to go into or read the plan, and how unique it is, how different it is from others, why that business will succeed, we have to know. Okay, and in the executive summary again, we have to know the turnover that will make that business lucrative, what strategies put in place to ensure that that business becomes a success. And not only that, you have to know at what cost and what are the risks and the measures put in place to manage those risks if eventually they happen, or tone them down. On that note, I'll thank you for this attention given for the business planning lectures. I hope you go over the video and then be attentive, so it will help you to package your business planning. Thank you, audience. Thank you, students. Thank you very much. We meet again another course. Thank you. Bye. Eventually, as I leave you, if we're talking about the legal issues, what are the legal issues? And most often we talk of confidentiality. Most businesses are the property of the company. Okay, so here, if the company is going to probably give it out for funding, then the company will sign a legal issue of confidentiality with the bank that receives it, that if information from the business plan should get to a third party, then there will be these consequences. Okay, so they sign a confidentiality agreement. Okay, so a paragraph is inserted at the front page of the business plan. Okay, and that ensures what? Secrecy of the information. Okay, and again, if possible, sensitive information is not leaked out. So these are things that we have to know, and as I bring the lecture on business plan, I'll say document all these as you go through them. Okay? Thanking you so much for your attention, and thanking you for the time. I hope my subsequent lectures on other areas you'll be interested. Thank you.